the amount of bad luck he's got in this race. Oh, problems here for Paul Radicic. Big damage on the Shell 18 Falcon. Goodness me. That wheel is just stuck there. Oh, and there's also been some damage further back for Craig Lowndes. Bit of panel beating work going on in the pit lane now. Looks like he's gone underneath someone. And look at the damage there. It's always a risk in this reverse grid situation. It looks like the car running okay. Here's the Holden Racing team. Oh, look at this. We've got this thing on fire now. So much heat going in there that he's actually got a fire burning under the tyre.
And this happened to Paul Radicic. I mean, he had this problem right at the very start of the lap, so he's had to try and get 3.9 kilometres around the circuit with that big problem. This is exactly what happened, so...
Oof. Oh, he's gone right up. Well, Stephen Johnson...
That's at turn 13.
Stephen Johnson's gone into the back of Radicic, so he's also sporting some damage as well.
Stephen Johnson went in the back of his teammate.
Yep. So both Shell Fords damaged, but this one looks like it's come off far worse. Look at the sparks flying there. Broken suspension components being ground down against the surface of the bitumen. And there's that wheel. Look at that alloy rim there, just getting destroyed as he tries to limp it back to pit lane. Dramatic moment for the Shell team. And just amazing how the fortunes have turned around. Stephen Johnson was dominant on this track only 12 months ago. A very different story in 2000.
Oh, Rodney Forbes is into the tyres there, and he caught up. I think Seaton was caught up slightly, but certainly Ellery and Wills were absolutely trapped in that damage. There's a safety car on the circuit, and I think the opinion poll would read almost 100%.
Ford has been parked after this. Just take a look at this. He brought it back, limped all the way back into pit lane, and by the time they got it up on the jacks, they came to the conclusion that there's too much damage on that thing. They'll get it in there and try and fix it for race 3.
Whincup. Oh, trouble down here at 9. Huge trouble. Pasquale's involved.
Yep.
Goddard's involved. Everybody else has managed to scramble around, but Anton's car looks like it's got broken right front suspension.
Here we go. There's a lot of them. So there's the Irwin car that I saw with David Reynolds. So they go the other way around the outside. There's Scotty Pye straight in. That was Bryce Fullwood. And nice presence of mind by Goddard to miss it all.
So let's have a look at this. I think it's the teammates that are actually making the contact. It is. It's David Reynolds that actually touched the right rear corner of Anton's car.
Yep.
And then what happened to Pye was he just tripped over in the traffic. I thought originally he was involved in this, but it was actually the two Penrite cars that found the same place on the map. That was an awkward moment for Gary Jacobson. He ended up on the outside wall there at turn 14. That's probably going to bring him back into the lane. Here's what happened. So it's Rick Kelly down the inside. He won't be seeing the humour in life at the moment after having to wait in the pit lane with the double stack there with Jack Smith. And they interlock wheels on the exit, and that pitches Jacobson into the tyres on the outside at 14. Here's the view from Rick's car. They checked up, the wheels interlocked, and it just punches Jacobson off the outside of the road here. So there's actually plenty of space between them at the moment, but Gary's in an awkward spot out there. And McCauley yields on the way to 11 just to give him some space. And in fact, Fullwood goes straight ahead, and Jones only just barely gets away with it. Now, is he able to get it out of there? Yeah, found reverse. He bounced off the tyres.
Yeah, that was messy.
Yeah, I'm
now,
all right, sorry.
A Whincup needs to put a couple of ripping laps together now to clear Holdsworth. So the guards rubbing against the left front there on Forward's car 2.
So there's effectively 4 seconds difference in the pit stop to come.
So Whincup is a genuine chance here. Yep. You know, on correction, he's still got a margin.
Got him.
Cam Waters just come out of the pit, makes contact with Rick Kelly and car 100 celebrating the anniversary for Castrol in Australia and New Zealand.
Turned around by the fellow Enduro driver. Get back in the game, get back up on this side.
So a bit of Mildura action there with Rick Kelly being spun by the junior Mildura driver. There'll be a little local reaction in that part of the world. So Rick was pretty quick to gather that up and get himself back in play. So let's just go through our top 10. So Whincup, Reynolds, McLaughlin, Mostert, Will Davison. So that monstrous moment with Mostert and Davison there at 4th and 5th. Fabian Coulthard, James Courtney, Nick Percat, Shane Van Gisbergen and Mark Winterbold. Now Courtney must have short-filled to get that car up into that spot. No, he didn't. He's put 55 litres in, so he made good ground in the opening laps. In fact, he's up 10 spots, Courtney. So at the moment, the real winners of this race, Whincup's up 5 positions compared to his grid spot.
A few more people playing. Here we go. Again, another problem down here for
twice.
Anton Di Pasquale down at turn 6, so that's twice through the sand dunes down there, unfortunately for him.
I wonder whether he's actually got a drama going, whether it's inside front wheel locking. Often when you see cars up there.
To the weekend, round 1 of the championship. Dumbrell leads on 200 points. Hazelwood on 184. Then Jack LeBrock, who was fast yesterday in the Nissan. LeBrock's crept. And so has Andrew Jones. Something weird's happened at the start there. There was anticipation. LeBrock moved. We'll have to see how this plays out. Hazelwood.
Keane in the fence. Massive impact. And a Kostecki car there. Kurt Kostecki as well. Josh Keane's
safety car boards and flags,
going from bad to worse. Now, this could have all been caused, as Michael Massey, race director for the series on the radio, calling the safety car, it could have been caused by that very strange start procedure.
I wonder
it was
if,
more than one car.
Yeah.
There was multiple cars moving before that. Maybe it was just they got held so long, the clutches on the cars. I'm not sure. Clutches on the cars started to bind up and drive the cars forward. I'm really not sure. Josh Keane looks to be sort of slouching in that seat a little bit.
Big hit at the front for the
Massive
Wins
impact.
Falcon. This is the car that Jack LeBrock campaigned to second in the championship last year. Look at the damage for ProDrive. Twice they've won this championship, 2015. They backed it up with victory last year. This guy joined the outfit at the commencement of this season and had really high hopes for his home events. He's wounded. Let's hope he's all right.
He'll be winded, all right. That you can tell by the damage. We just heard that the race is definitely considered started. Here we oh, the lights flashed. We can see the lights, they flashed off. Where's Josh Keane? Started from the back. Here he is in the centre. He's clipped. Kostecki trying to weave his way through. Definitely see another replay of that and just see if Josh Keane went when he first saw those lights flicker. So there's definitely confusion, mass confusion. Look at Andrew Jones. He actually went and had to stop then behind Jack LeBrock. And there's that impact and the resulting damage from it.
Here we go, another look now. So
look at Andrew Jones. Jacobson behind him.
LeBrock moved first.
Moved as well because he saw the first flash, but then saw them come back on. So a fault by the looks of it with the start lights that has caused a dramatic beginning. Here is Jacobson. So we'll watch the lights just above his windscreen. Then they went yellow. Did they go yellow?
It does look like they flashed yellow. We'll take another look at it in a moment. So some craziness, weirdness at the start here. And we're hearing from race control that obviously the start was not aborted, so the race is technically underway, albeit...
Oh, Andrew Jones, he decided to really get on the brakes and stop.
They've all reacted, haven't they? So LeBrock moved, I guess, assuming it was...
Hey, it's very interesting that it's Josh Keane's car.
See the barrier too.
Here we go, in car with Josh Keane. So this will be a sizable impact. He's got away.
Oh, and that's 4.5 ton of concrete barrier that he's hit. And look at the way it's shortened up the front end. He's winded, but okay.
He's just tried to. So here's the lights again. Keep your eye above the top of the screen there, just up in the centre of the screen. They flash 3 times. No, they didn't go orange. It was just red. But that has caused a huge confusion in the field and resulting in something we don't want to see off the start. So there's the car getting cleaned up by our race crew.
Big incident here to start the final race of the weekend in the Dunlop Super 2 Series. The crews here go to work. They've had a very busy weekend on the streets of Adelaide. Some stress for Tim Edwards, team boss at ProDrive Racing Australia. 4 cars in the Virgin Australia Championship, 2 here in this series.
Oh, that's an interesting way to move a supercar down the racetrack. Oh my goodness. Not quite sure what is trying to be achieved there. That's yeah, Tim Edwards looking on. He's just thinking about the amount of parts that the team is going to have to get to work on to repair this car. And there's Kurt Kostecki's 55, really fairly innocent bystander on that one, as Josh Keane tried to thread the needle between 2 cars.
Yeah, just let me know.
Of course, the race director there, Michael Massey, endeavouring, I think, to talk to operations manager. 2 series.
Oh, Davies gets spun in the last corner. De Pasquale involved in that. Perkins gets a couple back from the hustle before. Barbera moving over, trying to cover as Jake Kostecki goes through to get another spot. So action right down to the last lap. But the winner, undoubtedly, and he will be stoked, is Todd Hazelwood, his first win in the series, Rusty.
And the first for Matt Stone Racing since 2014 in Townsville.
Here's the replay. Perkins having a last final ditch at Pasquale. He touches him. Pasquale having a go at Shay Davies, who recovers as quick as he can. It was all on for the third and final race of the weekend for the Dunlop Super.
With Chaz Mostert in the forward focus.
Oh, Keane,
big one. Will Brown too.
Will Brown's in there as well. There's 4 cars. One of the Kostecki cars.
And Andrew Jones.
Oh, no. So difficult to manage that when a car goes into the fence there. So 6 cars in there. We will clearly see the Vodafone Porsche safety car put out there.
2 Eggleston cars, 2 Brad Jones racing cars. Hopefully Andy's okay. We can see him moving around, which is good.
He would have arrived there absolutely at the wrong moment, unaware, and had nowhere to go. The cars are so loaded when you attack the curb at 3. Here is Jones now. It's all happening in front of him. Oh.
And compounded when Brodie Kostecki arrives. Looks like a good bit of evasive stuff from Jack Smith.
Keane. Oh, so it's Brown. Brown's in the fence. Keane had absolutely nowhere to go, and it's not over yet. Here we go. Oh. Poor Andrew Jones, he's arriving. No flags out, no warning. He's seen it. I'm trying to avoid.
Oh. And the corner's so blind, isn't it, Murph, that you until it opens up, you don't actually see the...
So Will Brown was wide there. He'd missed the apex. And wow, Jack Perkins. Look how close Jack Perkins was to collecting the back of Will Brown's car.
And Kostecki, unbelievable. Renee Gracie manages to avoid it. Some damage to Mason Barbera's car. So the Vodafone Porsche 911 C4 is out. We were in a Brad Jones Racing there.
Someone must have said a really, really good joke there for them to laugh in this situation, I would say, because Andrew Jones's car is pretty second-hand. All the drivers there.
So Brodie Kostecki's out. You can see that there, as is Josh Keane. Josh has gone to make sure Andy's okay and help him out of the car. Nathan Morecambe out. And so is Will Brown. I think I could see the other of the Eggleston Motorsport entries. So these guys had a good chat yesterday after the coming together as well.
Andy's cool box there. I'm not quite sure what he's up to. His hand in there just moving some of the dry ice around. Maybe doesn't want it to freeze when he climbs out of the car. Not that he's going to need it again this weekend. She's all done and dusted. So I was going to say to you, Rusty, when we were talking to him before the start of this, the way that that Brad Jones racing car is prepared. It's just so well done. Everything inside it, you know, colour-coded, the way they look after their sponsors. Alliance Truck Parts team must be pretty pleased to be involved with that operation. It was just perfect. And now look at it, unfortunately. She's very second-hand. So Will Brown.
Now that's the lap before the crash.
One lap before. He's missed the apex. He didn't climb over the curb very well and just missed the fence. Exactly one lap before, so he's lost it. He really did seem to lose the back of that car just as he turned in for turn 3. So he's miles away from climbing over the curb. Josh Keane, has he been in the wars again this weekend? And
Jack, look at that.
Yeah, that's heads-up driving. That is heads-up, and that's heads-up for Marjoram as well. Marjoram managed to avoid that, whereas cars further back didn't avoid it.
Smith took the only available parking spot, didn't he? On the left there.
That could be just. Can't imagine that would have been a team letting him know about it, because I don't know if they would have seen what was going on. But that is a big couple of hits for Andrew Jones, isn't it? It's this one here. Brody Kostecki was unsighted, wasn't he? He was completely unsighted from the car ahead of him, who pulled out and missed the back of Jones, but Brody was totally unawares.
So it was out of shape for Brown when it came off the curbs, wasn't it?
Well, he didn't actually get to the curb.
Safety car, if you can increase your speed to 60 and to the pit entry road, the entire field needs to follow you into the pit lane. So it has been suspended.
That's the voice of Michael Massey in race control, letting you know what's happening. We were scheduled for 21 laps today. Currently suspended after this incident involving Will Brown for Eggleston Motorsport, and then a train of cars that followed. Look at the concertina crash, and then the back of Andrew Jones' car.
And guys, just want to knock something on the head with the 99 car, which is coming down the inside now. I think on a pass, side by side through turn 1. I'll go back to you guys for now.
Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, well handled.
You could have stayed that there.
At his finals time in the AFL, that was a good handball. So that was ugly, but I think in car number 23.
I reckon you're right.
So it does take a bit of unravelling when you've got these lap 1 incidents. And this is the one that we just witnessed a moment ago. And that was not pretty. Number 99 was Will Brown driving the, I keep wanting to say the Chickadee car.
It's like that, isn't it?
Not quite. And so bad news there, unfortunately.
But Earl Bamber got away with this, so you have a look how close he is to being part of this.
Well, actually, he was up on the curb as well, and in fact, all that stuff going on the curb was what triggered all of that, all the bouncing that Will Brown was bouncing, and Moffat was lucky to avoid that in car number 55. And then for Aaron Russell to be pointing in the right direction and not get cleaned up by everybody else.
There's Earl.
See, it's the curb, yeah. Nice work, James Moffat. Well done. Back to handball. Back to you now, Greg.
Could be some more to talk about with 90.
A 6-time champion.
Big trouble.
Yellow flag out. That's a big accident.
There's been a nasty accident on the exit of the hairpin at turn 4. Can't actually pick that car at the moment. Whincup was applying huge pressure.
I think it's Pither's car, isn't it?
And if it is, that's bad news for ProDrive. It is Pither. Because that's a spare car. His primary car was damaged at turn 8 in Adelaide.
Winterbottom got a clear stop. This is the damage that Neil Crompton's talking about, because it's a long way from turn 4 to 5 there. That would be more like 210 or 220 kilometres an hour. It's a fast area of the racetrack. And there's a huge amount of damage to the front of this car, but it's also got damage to the rear. We saw that originally with the rear end shot when it was parked on that bank. And let's see if we can tell you a little bit more of the story. That's Garth Tander. Pither is there with either Heimgartner or Percat.
It's gone across his nose.
And it's so close to hitting that guardrail on the left where the flag marshals were. It missed the guardrail where the flag marshals were and went up the hill and hit the guardrail on the way down to turn 4. I've never seen a car make it right through and hit in the opposite direction. That is a lot of force. And I'm not sure whether it was Heimgartner or Percat. I think it may have been Percat, but I'm just not sure at this point, because Percat in track position right now is actually in 16th position with Garth Tander in 15th. So maybe they're a little bit further back, so we'll just have to reserve our judgment on that one. I'm not sure also how much of the overlap was
stood down. So the situation the team are telling me is that Rick is going to try and live with this, but they have urged him on the radio.
No.
He's gone off the road, Rusty. So he's locked up the rears on the run towards turn 2. So if it's that bad, he may have to give the game away. It must be cooking its front brakes.
Sorry, Greg, but as you were just saying that about standing down, he locked the 2 rear wheels and straight off at turn 1.
Just a minute, we're ready for you. We're going to go over the brake, see if we can resolve anything.
We're going to try and find out whether or not they've got a lot of blocking brake blockers in the front of this thing. Can't really see on that angle, but that's pretty wild when you come over the top of the hump. And he's already on the grey there. When we talk about the grey, it's the dirty offline area. And there's a couple of places that you could go off here and really hurt yourself and do big car damage if you're playing roulette with the brakes. So for some reason, too lively in the rear. We'll try and get to the bottom of it, but they'll probably have, it should be reasonably visible. Here's another replay. They'll probably have a bit of blocker in the front of it there. And we'll also be likely to see some data on their front brake temps.
And this was the spot a couple of years ago where Scott Pye had brake failure in exactly that area and went straight ahead into the guardrail on the other side of the road. So it's a dangerous place because of the high-speed nature into slow-speed sections.
And sometimes it's silly things like, you know, one of those brake ducts can just...
single part of the circuit, not making a mistake.
Oh, those first few laps are fantastic. That was enjoyable to watch, even though, you know, obviously it was a bit of tit for tat between Gizzy and Frosty. Now, that was enjoyable for us, but just had an off need to talk about that.
And probably a safety car now. Thanks, buddy.
9 laps remaining, and we've got Tim Blanchard off here. And does that trigger a safety car from Cam's race control? Tim Schenken's got his finger on the button. And they may leave it, depending on where it is.
It's a long way down to turn 6. It's a long way down.
Halfway to Launceston Airport, so he might be okay down there.
And that will be a result of a brake failure of some description because he's just dribbled straight off the road there. It's one of the longest braking gravel traps. And that may have actually tucked that in under the front wheels. You see the level of damage on the front air dam there of Tim Blanchard's Cool Drive Commodore. We'll just have a good look as to what's gone on. He's put his foot on the brake. And yes, that's what's happened. He's basically tucked that under. The wheels have been locked for 150 metres. And that is a high-speed exit. That's 266k, and he's parked there.
They try and resurrect those front splitters and bumpers, and they rebuild them a lot. But I'm not sure they'll resurrect that one. And there's a minimum weight on those, in fact. Here it is again in real time. Just think what it's like in the driver's seat here. Put yourself in the driver's seat as it fires straight ahead, 260-odd kilometres an hour.
That is a long way down there. That's as far as I've seen anyone down there for a long time. It's 70
alongside.
Oh, look at this thing, Pasquale.
There's Jacobson around the outside. Pasquale's gone to the back of Andrew Jones, forced him wide into the sand. Jacobson, innocent party. Will he get through? He's got stuck.
Now, he's our championship leader. Our championship leader is in the sand. Look at Shay Davies having a look at those as they come to the turn 7 at the bottom of the hill.
Car scramble, 80 kilometres an hour.
So the safety car, Michael Massey calls it. On the first lap, there was plenty of pushing and shoving going on all the way through the pack. And poor Gary Jacobson, he looked for that outside move down to 6, so many lines through turn 6. Here's Andrew Jones. He has managed to get through the other side and out, but what a huge loss for him after getting a pretty good start. But, we'll see a replay here. Jack LeBrock, though, what a shocker. He has not managed to understand what's required to get that ProDrive Falcon. The car's on the grass, I think, was that also James Golding or Muscat. He was on the grass as well, got a pretty good getaway. Here it is from the front view. Jones did a great job, but look at Brell take the outside line. It was James Golding. He was well on the grass. 2-3 wide on board with Todd Hazelwood. He gets away not too bad, still not the best of starts. Here's Jacobson. moving through as well ahead.
With that drama for Shea Davies, that just opened the way for Hazelwood there, didn't it?
Here's the replay down into 6 for the first time. Pasquale got onto the back of Jones, who was covering. Jacobson going, I'm going to take the advantage here on the outside, but Pasquale was pushing Andrew Jones wide. LeBrock benefited, but those two guys off into the sand. So there'll be a bit of a look and investigation, I think, into that one. Tricky on those cold tyres down to turn 6 for the first time as well. And he was nearly through, Rusty. Nearly managed to get the Falcon through, but look how far he's dug the holes.
And those that have benefited as a result of this.
Forever. Here's a replay, Dumbrell. Now, so he gets it locked up late in the braking phase. There's nothing he can do. He had to come away from the brake pedal to get the wheels turned there. As Pasquale goes off into the lane for that drive-through penalty.
Look at the effect that sand's having.
Well, that was not the sand. That was Day making a move. Oh, was that McAdam? And coming together. So this is Dumbrell running wide after locking. LeBrock doing a great job to see that happening and capitalise on it.
Yep, so car 30 of Douglas and Mike Conway.
Green flag, green flag.
Right at the screen. We'll be starting from pit lane. So here we go at the front of the grid. Sebastian Bourdais in the championship leading car. There's Mika Salo next to him. Behind them, Graham Rahal and James Hinchcliffe. Hinchcliffe got a pretty good start, but now he's stopped dead. He's stopped dead and he's been run into straight up the back from Lucas de Grassi. And there's more carnage. Oh my goodness!
That's Ricky Taylor in the second Fujitsu car. It was Tonio Liuzzi that made the contact.
Car 33.
Red flag, red flag. Let's require the cars to just stop at pit lane entry, just adjacent to pit lane entry, while we just sort out this incident on the starting grid.
Cars strewn everywhere. Car 33 on its lid. That's Ricky Taylor. And the rescue crews get to him quickly. Big damage to the front of car 4 of Simon Pagenaud. Tonio Liuzzi also into the wall. He's over there on the right-hand side.
They had nowhere to go, Matt. So the Hinchcliffe start promulgated all the drama.
Well, and surprisingly, it looked to me as though he got a good jump. I mean, he got off straight away, but then he's just stalled it completely.
That's right. So that second phase of the start, the car bogged down, he didn't move away, and then that was the start of lots of contact.
So let's see who goes through. Bourdais there, Salo's there, car 15 of Rahal's there. So we've got about 5 or 6 cars on the front straight here. One upside down, great. Good to see him out. Ricky Taylor. Up and out. Simon Pagenaud also out of car 4.
Great reaction from the crowd there. Very hard to get out of the cars, even at their best. But when you're upside down and the window net gets caught up in the belts, when you undo the belts, you fall on your head. And this is how it started. Have a look at the Fujitsu Commodore. It slows down. So then that was immediate contact. Liuzzi into the back. There's Pagenaud into the back of him. He flicks to the other side. Ricky Taylor ends up making contact with the front of the Irwin Falcon and then turns on its roof. And that just shows how fast the cars are in such a short period of time.
That's right. This is 1.5 ton of V8 Supercar. Now watch this. You watch car 33 come right in the middle, up, over, spin, collects the wall, and Ricky Taylor, in the space of just 100 metres or so in a V8 Supercar, ends up looking the wrong way. That's the initial impact. Liuzzi into the back of Hinchcliffe. Pagenaud into the back of Liuzzi, and then at top speed. Oh, Taylor up and over.
Some really good pieces of driving within this. Ryan Briscoe did a really good job to miss. Will Power did an amazing job to miss the back of Hinchcliffe. You have a look where Ryan Briscoe is right now. And that Sarrazin also did a fantastic job to not run into Ricky Taylor in Jason Bright's car there. They're all on their roof, they're spinning around. It was extraordinary scenes.
Time plus 1 lap, so probably going towards a time certain finish instead of going the distance of 102 laps. You know, car 33 is out of this one. Car 4 is also out of it. Car 34 in pit lane as well. Another car has just entered the lane. And it's car 30 of Taz Douglas and Mike Conway.
Green flag, green flag.
Okay, let's see if we can get a clean one this time. Bourdais and Salo at the front. Ray Hall behind them. Yeah, a jumper. Nicholas Manassian. He jumped and then stopped, but thankfully they... Oh, another one! Another one! Exactly the same. Unbelievable. Car 11, Frank Montagny, is a three-wheel deal at the moment. So Manassian went to jump the start.
Red flag, red flag, red flag. Same procedure as prior. We need the cars to stop towards the back of the grid.
So the key here is car 14.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
With big damage to the left-hand side, and for a split second I thought he was going to get away with it. But he jumped. He went early, and in a carbon copy of what happened to Hinchcliffe, he got bogged down on the second attempt.
Jump. Watch this now. So look for car 14. And oh, there was actually two in front. Oh, have a look. Look at the chaos. Oh, that's when we thought everybody was going to get by. And Frank had nowhere to go. He was actually going quite fast by that stage. A lot of damage to the rear. Ryan Briscoe will be thinking this is a war. I've just had two starts. I've got blokes going everywhere.
So Frank he was unsighted. That was the thing, Scafey. He was unsighted there, and he thought that there was a little bit of room to move on the left-hand side. It just plucked the wheel off it straight away, and this could have been so much worse for Nicholas Manassian especially, who's stuck stranded in that car on the grid. Look at the yellow flags. Everybody's doing their duty well. But when these things are moving at this pace, in this narrow laneway that is the starting grid on the Gold Coast, this is what can happen. Watch this. He'll arrive here now. See, he just has a little look on the left. And before you know it, we've got another red flag.
Matty, just with Frank at the moment, and Frank just checking off with the medical crew that you're okay. Physically, how you feel after that?
Nah, no problem at all. I mean, it's a shame. I haven't in the car at all, and the guy on the right line just brakes, and I moved right when I saw that. I said, there is something on the left, but hit the rear wheels anyway, so...
Not much you can do in those situations.
I don't know. First time here, first time in this car, so not much experience.
Right, all the best, Frank. Thank you.
Look at them all spread out. They go in search of their own piece of real estate. They bump and grind and push and shove, and now they've got to come all back together again. Turn one. Jason Bright over and over and up and into the wall. Oh!
That started with Slade down the inside.
Okay. Yep, I'm trying. Just give us a radio call if you're there, Brodie.
Huge damage to car 16 of Scott Pye again.
Yep.
Yeah. The electronics in the car shut down. Here's the replay. This will give us some explanations.
We'll try to come in together. So it's Tim Slade leans on the Holden Racing Team car, which just sends Team BOC Commodore flipping into the air. This was what happened. They all fanned out and then they all came back in, and it was never going to work. Van Gisbergen and Kelly get through, and then watch car 47 just pushes across, and it doesn't take much for Garth Tander just to lean on the front left-hand side of Jason Bright.
It's that secondary impact that's the worry there with the wall, and it got right up on the top of the debris fence.
This is Lee Holdsworth's view. Oh, that was the big crunch that he... Okay, so he got hit by Scott Pye and a few others.
The contact actually started with the two Red Bull cars. They actually made contact on the way in there also. There's Slade down the inside. He makes contact with Tander. Tander makes contact with Bright. Totally out on the slide. Full opposite lock, so he's trying to steer it down. So Jason's trying to make sure it doesn't turn onto its roof. It then catches the curb, and the curb then trips it over. So as it gets to that point there, it was always going to turn over.
Must have picked up the front right wheel of Tander's car in order to be able to do that launch, and Tander's in the pit lane and has been there for a while now as well, so it'd be pretty fair old damage on that. It's this next whack with the wall. All this stuff looks spectacular, but at that stage, you know, it's not a crazy amount of damage. It's this next one where it hits the concrete wall. It is tyre protected and then gets into the debris fence, where they're going to have a big nightmare trying to resolve getting this car back in shape.
Well, fortunately, where the massive load has actually taken place in terms of the final part of the crash, Neil, it was actually against the tyres there. That's taken some load away from that.
And that's a tonne and a half. Yeah. That's a tonne and a half in the air there.
It's just been tossed around like a toy car.
Well, I'm in the garage with Brad Jones, and Brad, no team is more of a family than yours, and just collectively.
So, it's happened on the approach up to the cutting, and he's given it a fair thump up there. Not the first, and he won't be the last to do that. And so it means he's got to do almost 3/4 of a lap to get it back into the pit lane. And so here's what's happened to Aaron again. Unfortunately, whacking the wall so significantly this time that he didn't get away with it. Wow. And that has claimed some pretty big names over the years. I can recall Larry Perkins, I can recall Jamie Whincup.
Beautiful job there by the Red Bull Ampol pair to be first and second.
Traffic jam into the right-hander at 5, and up and over goes Heimgartner. An awkward moment with Cooper Murray, and another wheel interlocking moment like we saw yesterday. And that is unfortunately a lot of damage for the wildcard entry. And I was talking about the traffic jam buried deep in the pack, and then all of a sudden, I think Percat may have been in behind Heimgartner, and he's climbed up and over the wheel of Cooper Murray. I mean, as an incident, it's not a big deal. It's just the fact that the cars flew, and it was an awkward interlock of the wheels, and it just launched the thing into the sky. It takes a bit of energy to put a tonne and a half of a supercar up in the air like that. On the wildcard entry, here's another view.
Gee.
So left front appears to have gone over the top of right rear.
Yeah.
Left front of Andre Heimgartner's car over the right rear of Cooper Murray's 888 entry. And there might have been a couple of other people that copped some peripheral damage and all that as well. That's not a good look, is it?
No, it's never seen the car so high like that, and the way that
is the onboard.
Watch this, you're going to get a really good look of the underbody. Oh, that almost turned over off the back of it.
Craig Lowndes, Mark Winterbottom, Garth Tander, Jonathan Webb, Lee Holt. Very good job.
Oh, into the fence at turn 8. David Reynolds. Massive contact and keeps going.
Now, some are going to take a punt here and some will come in for fuel. Who's going to be game? Because it's real close to an awkward moment. Lap 48's the critical. Here comes the safety car.
Flag safety car, stand by. We have a car down at turn 9, left-hand side. Should be off track. Just stand by.
Head down for David Reynolds. He was instantly straight on the microphone saying to the team and James Small, my fault, I stuffed it up. Yep.
Yeah. He didn't exactly say mess it up, but
my goodness,
where it's parked now is all the way down that straight where we saw all the incident with the Courtney car earlier.
Now, Whincup could be stationary for less time because he's got a higher fuel load, but he might get caught in the queuing if they actually chose to bring him in. We'll have to wait and see how they play it. This is on board with David.
And you can see it's knocked him around, Neil. I've said before, it's a real bell ringer. You can see his body language there. He's drooped down. It's taken the wind out of him because it winds you when the belts grab you. And the force there is immense.
Well, he'd wanted to come here and make a bit of a statement in his first drive at Ford Performance Racing. He ended up in a real dogfight of a race.
So had to bring Tim Slade back there. Rally just got around.
Shane Van Gisbergen.
This is where it gets really tricky when everyone's trying to juggle this stuff. So Lowndes is in. So Will Davis and Lowndes, Winterbottom, Tander, Webb. Top 5 are all taking the opportunity to grab fuel.
You can't not.
No, that's right.
You've got to work out who you're racing. And they're racing each other, Davison and Lowndes. And Tander and Winterbottom have also got to make the same call. Everyone will struggle to make it home from here. There is no doubt this is very, very early for everybody. HRT have previously had the best fuel economy of the field, and it will be very interesting to see what happens here in terms of speed versus that fuel economy.
It forces them into a position now where they've got to go into a massive economy run to try and get through to the end without another stop.
Wow, a simple thing like that. An incident, here it is. That's Dave Reynolds, bang! He couldn't see the apex. That was the problem. He was right behind Fabian Coulthard, and he's hit the inside curb we were talking about just before that. Hit the guardrail, and bang, watch this. Straight out into the fence. That's almost the same position exactly as James Courtney. Have a look again. See, he couldn't see. He was so close to the car in front. It just blinds you. You've got no visibility of where the apex of the corner is. He hit the inside and has fired wide. So just have another look. He can't see where that apex is. Actually, he's missed it.
Yeah,
he didn't actually grab the curve. He's missed the apex because he couldn't see where the corner was. So sorry about that. He was slightly wide, about half a car width wider than the real line. And in the end, that's the result.
Yeah, Scafey, interesting. Dave Reynolds had reported to the crew that he really felt the temperature climbing inside the cabin, so the heat was getting extreme, and they reckon maybe that just took the edge off him there on that corner.
That could be the case, Brett. That's absolutely a plausible thing.
Just wonder how long it's going to take for the clean-up operation down there, and therefore see how long the safety car's out there. We'll take a break. So we're back into it now. Mark Winterbottom leads the way. Oh, no, we're not into it.
That's a big accident.
That's really big. So Greg Murphy's involved, and one of the Techno Autosports cars.
Now Murphy, I just spoke to.
I caused it, and we are done.
So Murphy just said, I caused it, and we're done.
Are you all right? Sort of.
So that is just on the way into the pit area. So it's a big, fast right-hand corner, about 220 kilometres an hour. And that's Jonathan Webb getting out. That's the back of the Techno Commodore. And a huge amount of damage on the right-hand rear and a lot of damage to the left-hand front then of Murphy.
That's a brand new car. Jono Webb's was a brand new car.
I don't think he's going to be very happy here. It's going to be...
Not happy, Jono Webb, I don't think. But just checking on Greg Murphy. He's taking some time to get from the car. Yeah, I think he is helping him out, so...
He's being nice, he's going to help him out.
He's just giving him a hand. I mean, obviously it was a pretty nasty incident.
And neither of them know. Second red flag.
Wow. So straight out on the first lap after the break, and this will show you what's happened.
Oh,
so
no.
Murph arrives in a hurry. Oh!
Wow.
This has been coming for a long time, this sort of incident, unfortunately. It's this huge speed differential as everyone tries to find their space. You know, somebody's at full tilt, in this case Greg Murphy, while someone else is just dawdling along. And yeah, that's just very, very bad and sad to see. It's $1 million worth of race cars there across those two vehicles.
That is heavy impact, really heavy impact.
Like I said, hurry up and wait. Good thing is both drivers are okay. So another break in qualifying here. Back after this. It's a sore and sorry sight. Car 51, the Pepsi Max crew. Greg Murphy back in the paddock on the back of the truck. And this is the reason why. Enormous impact. That's going to be a lot of work for both of those cars. Jonathan Webb's car is an absolute mess.
Just before Greg would step on the brake there, Mark and I were just looking at the data and the reference the speed in this area. It's about 200 kilometres an hour before you put your foot on the brake going into that final corner. It's very, very quick. And takes your breath away when you see one like that. The good news is both the boys are okay. Their cars, though, are going to take an enormous amount of work to turn them around. I frankly doubt whether they could be done today, but you never know.
Yeah, the Greg Murphy car's just arrived back at the back of the garage. I've had managed to have a bit of a sneak over it. Obviously, a lot of that damage is superficial, but when you get in there, some of the cage work, the structural, the stuff that really is the integrity of the car up the front there is kinked. Now, the guys are getting into it. I reckon they're going to have a crack, but I'd say it's a long shot.
I think it is. Yep. So he's gone in there hard. That's actually not a little mistake. That's very deep into the new tyre wall on the exit of turn 7. Now he's trying to engage reverse. Red flag's just come out. Pull the lock off it. He's just done that now, so see him straighten the wheel there. The cars won't move. Especially when you've got a diff, that's not a diff, it's a spool. So the rear wheels do the same speed. And see there Dave Reynolds, who was lining up to go back out, now being pushed back to his pit bunker. So young James trying to extricate himself from the tyre barrier on the left-hand side. I saw Gary Rogers, he's a great character, talking about his world this year with a couple of young blokes, a couple of young chargers, James Golding and Richie Stanaway. There they are. That's not Richie, is it? Or James?
Not even sweating. Coulthard's done a 21.5 to be the fastest at the moment by 1/100th over Van Gisbergen. So again, there's this ongoing evidence of Kiwi dominance, followed by the first Aussie in the field, Chaz Mostert, and he's currently third. Here's the replay of what happened at 7. A little bit of inside curbs, all it takes to trip. And then as he caught it, it actually steered around its own front wheels and drove straight in there. So because of the belt fascia on the front of the tyres, it actually grabs the car, does exactly the job it's paid to do. And it's just grabbed the car and held it in there. So, and you heard on the radio they were saying, please don't torture those tyres.
He actually didn't get the opposite lock off it fast enough. That's why he went in. So he ended up having correction. So left-hand lock. I might try to show it again for you. But when he was sideways, the car was out sideways. He's applied correction, opposite lock. And when the car then climbed towards the barrier, the wheel was essentially turning left and it grabbed the tyres and fed the whole car in. So he couldn't quite get the wheel straight again before it made contact with the conveyor belt. And you can see there, as Neil said, that conveyor belt fascia right in behind that is the tyre bundling that is there regarding...
Off power very much in control, and there's Alan Jones trying a bit too hard over the back part of the circuit. Under brakes for Coca-Cola corner. No, it's Seaton.
Yep.
It was Seaton.
Yeah, must have just put a wheel off, and once he got in that soft sand at the edge of the track, he was gone.
There's a bit of pressure driving for you. He must have been absolutely on the limit, Alan, trying to just find that 3 or 4 tenths he needed, and just overcooked it under brakes in the Coca-Cola corner. The pressure comes off bow. Goodness me, look at the dust
blowing out of the back guard there, still blowing out of the wheel wells. But he recovered nicely, and that's always nice when you can make a mistake and still recover.
Well, well.
That's moved Thomas Mazzera up to the second on the road as Glenn Seaton tries to bring it all back together again and go back for a finish. And Brocky is up.
Jobb 2 tempo, 20-ra bal 2 tempo, 20-ra bal 2 tempo, 25-ra bal 2 szűk, bal 2 szűk és bal 2.